Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I trust you can hear us and see us and everything like that, because if you can't hear us, you can't see us, you're not here. That would be the reason. Let me just adjust our little monitor here. Yeah, I know it's that. Don't get your knickers in a knot. Jeez. Okay, so lots of you here already. But I am shocked. Russ was not the first one, was the third one, but he has an excuse. He was shopping at Publix. I don't know if he's there or not. But anyways, Barb is here. Barb was number one today. Hi, Barb. And Nina's number two. Says, warm greetings from the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. Pace is here. Happy pre-Canada Day. Yeah, the whole weekend's Canada Day in a sense. I mean, technically tomorrow, a lot of people will have tomorrow off and Tuesday off because Tuesday is Canada Day and that's a statutory holiday. But a lot of people take a floater, and companies don't necessarily, smaller ones like our local quilt store is open tomorrow, but they're not open on Mondays anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And they're open and they're closed.
And they're closed on Tuesday for it too. So it's kind of a weird weekend because the law says that you have to take Canada Day on Canada Day, which is July the 1st. So, yeah, I don't know how that works with all the other places. So some places will be open probably tomorrow and then close again on Tuesday. Actually, probably most businesses will be open.
Yeah.
With it, and then they close Tuesday. Faith is here. Hi, Faith, and Caroline is here. Pat from Pat Wainwright's here. She says this is a nice day in New York State. No rain today, and a little cooler, slight breeze. Yeah, here it's a little cooler today, although right now it's 25 degrees C, which is pleasant. But yeah, far cry from what we had earlier in the week or tail end of last week. Sue's here. Hi, Sue. And Gloria. And Judy. And Joyty is here. Mona is here. And Julie is here. And everybody's saying hi to everybody else. Bonnie is here as well. Guy is here. Hey, there's a guy here. Says, hi guys, almost finished cutting the grass and my 4 o'clock alarm went off. It'll have to wait till later. Well, darn right it does. Of course, cutting grass and then we come on. Well, grass will wait. Mary is, she's busy sewing and listening today. Okay, and Karen B is here. And Jeannie is here. And where did everything go? Yeah. Phyllis is here. Happy Canada Day, Stephen and Walter. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. It's 6 Celsius here at the moment. Yes, Australia is in winter. We've been there in the winter, although still not cold. But I know
technically really were in the winter.
What?
When we were there.
Yeah, we were in the winter.
No.
When we were there in 2016, we were there for Christmas.
We were there in our
winter. That's summer. That's right. Okay, no, right. It was our winter. Yeah. We were more their late fall, their fall the last time we were there. Yeah. Everything's upside down in Australia. And I guess that's what they think of us up here. We're all upside down to them. Who else is here that I've missed? Nightbot's kicking right in. Glenna is here. Dubrovka is here. And Barbara, good evening from what was a sunny England today. Okay, well, I guess that is kind of rare, isn't it, for England? Ingrid's here. Hi, Ingrid.
Hi, Ingrid.
And Candace. And Denise is here as well. So we got quite the crowd here already today. So let's get into things. And let's start by talking about what I've been working on because it'll be very short, Walter. So now this I showed on So Chatty, but I'll show it again to you. And I'll probably be talking about it on Idiot Quilter in more detail, but this is the bits and pieces bag from Sweet Pea. And yeah, it was a weird bag to make because of the way they do the bottom. And it turned out, but I'm not thrilled with it. I wouldn't make another one. I don't really like the way they did the bottom in it. And probably because it's on point when you put it together. So yeah, seeing the corners was a little bit different from what I've ever done before. And I had to rip out a few things while I was doing that. But anyways, it's there, it's done, moving on, kind of a thing. But more about that on Idiot Quilter on Tuesday. And this is the design that my sister settled on for the quilt that she's asked me to make her. Pretty easy process, as I said on So Chatty on Friday. This actually was the pattern I designed another Quilt of Valor quilt, and I happened to show it to her, and she liked it. So I said, okay, fine, I'll make it for you. But I'll also make it into a Quilt of Valor probably. Well, one thing about it is it goes together really quick. More about that and pictures of what I've done so far. This is, of course, a picture from EQ, which I designed it in. And
did you really show them the bag? Because I don't see the bag popping up.
Oh, shoot. I forgot to hit. Wait, that's your job to make sure I hit the right damn buttons. Okay, sorry, people. You didn't. Now we're going to have a problem, aren't we? Yeah, we're going to have a problem.
Back to the problem you were at last week.
Yep. Because for some reason now in this thing, it doesn't want to.
You didn't restart something, right?
That's right. Okay. So nobody's going to see that. Okay, well, it'll be a surprise and you'll get to see it come. And that in the quilt, you'll see it on the Idiot Quilter. Okay, but now we got a problem because I had other things I wanted to throw up on here and I don't. Oh, wait, things show up. No, they're not. It's going to freeze. Let's see.
You're an idiot.
Wait. Maybe I'm not an idiot. Maybe I am an idiot. No, I'm an idiot. I don't know why OBS is doing this these days. It didn't used to do that. It has something to do when you click over to live stream and out. I don't know. Well, it's okay. The other things weren't that important. I just thought they would be nice visual aids. But anyways. So, you'll see the bag on the...
Where's the bag? Where? Can't you just hang in here? What do you got?
Keep them amused. I hate you.
Well, you should get these things worked out before you do.
I didn't know.
He does this every time.
Oh, be quiet. We're talking behind my back. Bitch. Okay. Here's the bag. In real time. Yeah, that's better. Like that. Yeah, so that's the bag. It's got a weird bottom. Well, the bottom doesn't look really weird. It looks like it should look, but it was the way you sewed it. And I'll talk more about it, as I said, on the Idiot Quilter. But anyways. And as far as my sister's quilt is concerned, I can show you what I've got together so far. But again, I'll talk about it on the Idiot Quilt. Doesn't look like much at the moment. But yeah, it's coming along. And I was happy that she liked it. That really annoys me that this thing did. I mean, I think the only way I can correct it is to have to down everything and up again, and well, that's not going to work for what we're doing. So just take my word for it. Idiot Quilter, you'll see it on Tuesday. Okay, so I think a few people have popped in while we were fighting over this. Let's see. Where did I leave off? I said that. Hello. Inez is here. Hello, Inez.
Yeah, and then they started complaining that we don't see anything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now I know why you didn't see everything. So, yeah, there we go. Alice is here, and Ness says, "Walter, you're going to get into trouble." Walter. Yeah, right. Nice bag. Thank you, Denise. Pace likes the color, and Sherry's here. Hi, Sherry. So, anyway, sorry about the technical fumble, but it just wouldn't be alive if that didn't happen. Of course, Walter has no idea how any of this works, but he's really good at criticizing.
Mm-hmm.
And you should have told me about that problem before it happened. It's your fault. Not mine.
Well, I was sitting there looking, and I was looking at the iPad that we have up too, and I saw we're talking away, and I don't see the bag.
Try to imagine how much I'm amused by this. Okay, so what have you been working on? Well, you were doing something.
Well, I haven't been doing any sewing, but I was putting up an umbrella yesterday.
Yeah, Walter bought a great big, huge, humongous umbrella. More about it on the vlog this week, on tomorrow, on Monday, on the vlog, with some actual pictures. Cool umbrella. It's one of those big ones, you know, that the cantilever type.
Yeah, it's a cantilever umbrella.
Yeah.
It's an 11-foot cantilever, and I had to put sand in the base. I had to put over 200 pounds of sand in the base.
He was out playing in the sandbox yesterday, putting his sand in there. And we sat out under it last night because underneath it, on all the vanes, they have LED lights. And it looks quite nice, yeah, when you sit out there. So, yeah, it's a nice little addition. Now we have a hole in our table because that's where the old umbrella used to go through. So I'm going to print a little sculpture thing to sit out there. The only problem is, if I leave the sculpture thing out there on the table, it might blow away when it comes up. It's not, they look heavy, but they're not heavy. So I'll work on that problem. But it's a nice umbrella. So again, more about that on the vlog tomorrow. There'll be actual pictures of it. Okay, what's coming up? Well, Sewing with Stephen as usual, Wednesdays, 9 a.m. start, finish at 4 p.m. Eastern. Everybody's welcome. We had a good turnout last Wednesday. We had a couple of new people. We had a new gentleman from England was on there, Malcolm, and it was nice to see him. He's a brand new quilter, just started only, I think, this year with it. So we always like newbies because we pick on fun of them all the time. Yeah. No, we don't. We're a very supportive group. So, yeah. Questions here. Oh, Jen's here.
Yeah. Barb's asking me about the umbrella at Canadian Tire. No, I did not buy the Canadian. I didn't like any of the models Canadian Tire. They were too expensive. So I bought this one at Rona. Rona is a sort of like a Volvo.
Except it's Canadian.
It's Canadian, and they bought out all the Lowe's in Ontario anyway. I don't know if they're out west or not. And they had a sale on. The umbrellas normally cost $500, and they were on sale for $350. So I bought one.
And he did. And you know, the funny thing too is the way they sell these umbrellas, because we were looking at it the other night, a lot of places will have the umbrellas for, you know, on sale for not, well, they're expensive, but not for a bad price in comparison to the regular price. But then you have to buy the stand separate, and the stand costs you more than the umbrella.
The base, yeah.
The base. Yeah, like, what was that Purple Leaf place?
They were charging about $500 for the umbrella and $300 and almost $400 for the base.
Yeah.
And this one came with the base, so I was happy with that.
You just have to fill it with sand.
Yeah.
A lot of sand with it. You can fill them with water too, but
it's not heavy enough, supposedly heavy enough with water. So
yeah, and also if you leave it out over the winter, like, and don't drain it, I would think there might be a problem.
That's been
because they're plastic.
Yeah.
The base, they're heavy plastic, but they could crack.
Yeah.
And then you're screwed. So yep, sand it was. But anyways, it's quite nice. I quite like it. So yeah, that was what Walter was busy with on the weekend. So Chatty this past week. We did a thing on what I call Dummy's Guide to EQ. I had a couple of people ask if I would do tutorials about EQ8, and I said no. And I did explain that on my reasons for that on So Chatty. Now, I don't know how to use it. I basically bumble my way through it. I know how to do some basic things. It's an expensive program, steep learning curve, and I've several books that actually have one book that's with lessons. And my idea is when I got that book, I was going to work my way through the lessons. But no, I got bored with that real quick. So what I know is what I've learned on a need-to-know basis, and I can do basic design in it, but it's a very powerful program. It'll do more. And if you saw So Chatty, you know what I'm talking about and how I approached it. So if you've never used EQ8 before and you're looking for something like a tutorial on it, don't look to me. There are lots and lots of videos on YouTube, and the EQ8 people themselves have videos out. I think they actually have a channel on YouTube as well for it. So yeah, it's a lot to learn. I mean, it's not a bad program when it comes to like designing things, but I find it very awkward to use though too. And there are other ones on the market that are much more simple and may suit your purposes better and are cheaper, a lot cheaper. Because I think I paid $400 or $500 for this program at the time that I bought it, and it hasn't gotten any cheaper. I can tell you that. Dubrovka says, "Watch for the wind. Our neighbor ended up in our yard."
Well, probably your neighbors didn't fasten the anchor at the bottom properly, or they didn't put the right stuff in their base. I think a lot of people figure they can just put water in the base, and I've read that it's not heavy enough.
Yeah, but yeah, even still though, yeah, if you've got wind coming up, like really, don't leave it set up if you're having a windstorm.
Yeah, like we've got it closed right now.
Yeah.
We
only open it when we're out there. Yeah.
And the particular umbrella we have has a vent in the top, so the air will
like kind of escape through it. But if you've got tornado winds blowing through, it might not be a good idea to have an umbrella. You might fly away with it. Okay, so other announcements. So my annual birthday bash pop-up sew day on July the 12th is 2 weeks away. A little less than 2 weeks away. Information will come out a few days before then, and there will be prizes at that one as well. And for those of you who might be all on here because you thought we were drawing a prize today, sorry. Watch, they'll all leave now. Because this isn't the first Sunday in the month. And so next week we will have our monthly draw for a mystery box of 3D printed items, and every mystery box does come with its own genuine idiot quilter poop. Yeah, so you can play with poop. Yeah, so the friend of ours came on Monday night for dinner, and yeah, that was boring. Although he's telling us lots of tales from where he works. He's a security guard at a casino. And whoa, the things that happen in the casinos. It is quite interesting. You wouldn't really think. There's everything from drug deals going down. Well, there was one casino, not his casino, but a sister casino that's not too far away. A few months ago, a young lad trying to get in underage, and the security guard there said no way, and the young lad stabbed him. Did he kill him?
Oh, okay.
Or did he shoot him?
Well, the one there was one that was over a year ago that the guy got shot.
Oh, I think that's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
It was killed.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of fun there. But he was telling about people who they have to keep an eye on people for payouts, including the tellers that count out the money for them. They have cameras right over top of them to make sure they're not, I guess, slipping a little of some of it for themselves. And people who fall asleep at machines. And basically, there are people who would live there for 24 hours if they didn't basically usher them out. And he says there's a lot of homeless people come in. They're looking for shelter and whatnot. And possibly, I don't know how well they would do on free food because the casinos here don't give out free food or free drinks. It's not like Las Vegas. So it was interesting hearing all those stories of what was going on. So we don't have to do that for another year. It was his birthday. That's why. Okay. Went to the dentist this week. Okay. You know,
I sent your money.
yeah, I saw that. You know, you've heard me say before how much I really enjoyed the dentist. Not, I don't know a lot of people who do. Just for cleaning, well, yeah, just for cleaning, but I figured there'd be a few extra things because it's probably overdue for x-rays, don't you know?
Yeah, they nailed me on that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a racket. Um, in fact, I don't even think the dentist came in and looked at the damn x-rays. She didn't do it within earshot of me anyways, but yeah, it says, oh, it's been about a year and a half, we should do x-rays. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And so they do that, and then she's in there with her little things, and this particular dental hygienist, she's very friendly and everything like that, but in comparison to the other dental hygienist, she's a little too thorough, I think. She's going for treasure hunt in your mouth. And you've had her too, haven't you?
Yeah.
I don't even know what her name is.
I don't know.
Short and dumpy. But yeah, so got that done. Then, of course, I had to have a checkup. They don't check my teeth every time I come in for a cleaning because, you know, they're on this program, this regimen for me. I come in every 4 months for a cleaning.
So are you going to go again 4 months?
Yeah.
You didn't tell them.
Well, I was thinking of saying to her, let's put it for 6. But I didn't. And here's why. My parents both had really bad teeth. And I don't want to ever have teeth like they had at all. And so I kind of think, well, I'm very thorough about keeping my teeth, you know, clean. I mean, I have a water pick, I floss, and she's still in there gouging away. And I said to her, well, you know, she says, oh, one of your molars kind of thing, or the crown, there's a bit of wear. Probably because I floss. I don't know with it. And she said, oh, yeah. And I thought, well, you know, they put that out there for you, and they don't say anything more. And the dentist came in, and she says to me, look there, yeah, you must be grinding your teeth. There's a little bit of wear back there. Have you thought about a mouth guard? I says, yes, I haven't. No, I'm not.
No, mouth guard, what do you call it?
Well,
thing for overnight.
Yeah, thing. And I said, and no, I'm not. She said, oh, okay. Because I know darn well right, I'm not going to wear it.
Yeah, well, I had one. I got one made. They sucked me into one a couple of years ago, and I got one. I wore it for a month. I hated it. And I ended up one night not wearing it, and I thought, oh, it feels so much better.
Yeah. So anyways, but while she was in there looking around, she said, oh, there's a tiny little chip near the gum line. We should fill that in, I'm sure. So I have an appointment in another couple of weeks' time to get that filled in. Now, this dentist is the second one since our tooth fairy, that's what we called our dentist who owns the operation there, and we liked him. But we call him the tooth fairy because he's gay. So he was very good, but he's gone off. He sold his dental business or part thereof because he still works in there, I think, about 1 day a week.
Yeah, I had him last time.
Yeah. And he because he's pursuing his new career in musical theater. Of course he is. Open the mouth, the ruby slip fall out, and so does every musical in beginning of time. You know, if there's ever been a stereotype, he fits it. So anyways, a woman dentist in there who basically owns the business as well, I guess.
She owns it now.
Owns it entirely?
Yeah, and he just works there.
Oh. Well, anyways, she's nice enough, but oh my God, if she does a filling,
You're in there for days.
Yeah, and I've never seen anybody so slow. You could build an apartment building in the time that it takes her to fill a tooth. But now she's off on maternity leave. So now there's another woman in there. She seems very nice. So we'll see how fast she is when she's doing this thing
I
to me.
wonder if she's taking her full year maternity.
Oh, she's entitled to it, so probably can. Of course, she can take as much time as she wants. It's her business. If she's got somebody that she is
True.
happy with working there.
Sure.
In fact, this whole dental office, with the exception of the tooth fairy coming in once a week, there's no men. It is entirely a woman office in every aspect, which doesn't really bother me. I don't care. But it seems like what are more women entering the dentistry business these days? Because one time in history, the only woman you saw in a dentist office was the hygienist. Having trouble with that word, hygienist. So, yeah, I mean, I don't care. I equally hate all dentists, no matter what their sex is, or orientation, or anything else with them. I just don't like dentists, period, at all. I don't like doctors either, but, those are people who want to hurt me. And I don't like people who want to hurt me. So anyways, that was a thrill for the week. Some comments here. Jeannie says, I worked my way through EQ8 lessons, and I don't remember anything. Yeah, you've got to use it almost every day. That's the problem with it. There's so many things that it does. Dubrovka says, coffee and pop are free at Ontario casinos. Oh, okay. I have never... The only casinos I have ever been in, and I don't gamble, so I didn't play anything of them, are the ones in Las Vegas.
Well, we did do walks through a couple of things up here too.
Did we?
Yeah, we walked through the one in Niagara
Oh,
Falls. And we
Niagara
walked through
Falls.
but we
Yeah.
didn't gamble or anything.
But we didn't gamble. We just sort of walked through, yeah.
And even when we went to Las Vegas, we only played a couple of slot machines
Play the nickel machine.
for half an hour.
Yeah, for nickels. On that, but yeah. Cynthia says, hi, Cynthia. Unfortunately, I have to go every 3 months because of diabetes. Yeah. I mean, it gives me stress to go. And the reason I get stress is it's not like the cleaning hurt or anything. It's just...
It's annoying.
It's annoying and it's expensive. Even though we have insurance, which covers 85% of most things in there. It's just... And they're so slick, the dentists in the ka-ching business, Like, they've got it down pat. And one pet peeve I have with my dentist anyways, and I should ask next time I'm in there, is why is it I have to pay it all up front and then they automatically electronically submit everything to the insurance? It comes back. I have it in my hand. I know exactly how much the insurance is giving me back. And it's automatically put into the bank account. Why is it then that I couldn't just pay the remainder to the
because
dentist?
they want a 100% guarantee of your money. They don't want. What if something happened, like you quit your job or wherever you're getting your insurance, and then all of a sudden you're not insured anymore? And
however, other dentists I have heard do it the way I think it should be done.
Well.
So that's the way they've
then
done
go
it
to
for
that
years.
dentist.
He's so bloody supportive. Yeah. Who wants them? I have an idea. Next week when we draw for the prize, it will not be 3D printed stuff. You're getting Walter. You might get him in installment plans because I can't get them all in one box, but I have an electric knife I can make him fit. Okay. Teresa's here. Good evening, all. I spent 8 years working as a dental assistant. I fall asleep in the dental chair. Yes, because you're drunk. I would like to. It would relieve my anxiety if I could just walk in and take something, like a little happy pill or something. I don't know.
They can give you gas.
They don't. And that's something I asked about it. Oh, we don't do that here.
When I was a kid a long time ago, I was traumatized in the dental chair.
That's why I don't like it.
Because I had this old dentist and he forgot to give me freezing and pulled the tooth. So I would refuse to go to the dentist, and the only way my parents had friends that their daughter was in had the same problem, as I did about dentists, and she was starting to one that would administer laughing gas
Huh?
for dental appointments, and so that's how I started going back. Is for a while they were giving the gas, so and actually that's quite pleasant when they do that.
Yeah, I'd like to try it, but all I can think of is that scene out of Little Shop of Horrors where the dentist, when they did the movie of it, and he's there, he's snorting the laughing gas, working on the stuff. He was a killer.
It just basically makes you very calm. You know that they're doing stuff to you, but you don't really care.
Yeah, that's the way I would like to feel. That.
And then after they stop the gas, you recover and come back to normal again.
Well, I remember as a kid, I think my first experience at a dentist, my parents took me to this quack, and he did not. I think I had a whole bunch of fillings or something, and he did not freeze anything. And I know there's some people that do not like to be frozen in the whole bed. Well, I think you're just sort of masochistic or sadistic, whatever, on that. Me, I need to be frozen very, very solid. Hit me on the side of the face with a sledgehammer, and if I don't feel anything, then you can do it. But he didn't. I just remember, and that's why I've been always traumatized by a dentist. Yeah.
Denise says, well, if you're unhappy with your current dentist office, why don't you switch?
Okay, here's why. Because I don't know, better the devil you know than the devil you don't, because I don't know what other ones are going to be.
We'd have to get recommended to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah,
I mean, I used to work in Toronto, and when I was younger, and I thought at one point in time, maybe I should go to a dentist in Toronto because it was easier to get to an appointment. So I asked one of the people at work about a dentist, and they said, oh, you can go to my dentist. So I went to their dentist. One and only time. I did not like them. And they were really trying to charge me all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, we have no lack of dentists here in our area. There's a dentist
there's
office
tons
on
of them.
every corner. They just spring up like Tim Hortons with it. So also, I have been going to the same dental office since I was 11 years old.
Yeah, old dogs can't change.
Yeah, right. I've been through 1, 2, 3, 4 dentists at this site in all the years I've been going. So we've been going there for over 50 years. And in fact, the dental hygienist the last time I was in was looking up something on the records, and I said to her, well, I said, I've been coming here for over 50 years. She was, my computer doesn't go back far back on your records. I said, no, it wouldn't. I went before there was such a thing as computers. Yeah. And she's younger. Not really young. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Maybe I can cut off her leg one day and count the rings. I figure tit for tat. She's in there scraping the hell out of my mouth. I might as well take a toe or two off of her. But supposedly there's laws against that, though. Susan's here. Remember the skit with Tim? Yes, that's a classic. That's right. When he's shot it in his own arm and he's flopping all over. That's hilarious. Harvey Korman could not keep a straight face through that sketch. Teresa says, not all dentists want to deal with the hassles of gas. Logistics of handling the gas, special equipment to deal with the exhaust. Don't want the dentist falling asleep, extra staff, education. Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's lots of problems with it. But, whatever. Barb says, since you were 11 years old, do you still get to pick a prize out of the goodie box? No. Might make my time there a little worthwhile if I could get like something out of the goodie box. I don't know. Something bad about, I don't imagine they do this now, but isn't there something sort of twisted about a dentist after you come out and you've had fillings and everything, or as a kid, offering you a sucker? No, repeat customer. Here, eat the sugar, kid. That'll rot your teeth. So anyway, it was a thrill. All right, somebody asked the other day if we were still walking. Yes, we are still walking. In fact, we were on an extended walk earlier today before we went to air. Is it working? Well, you've lost weight.
Yeah, I have.
I've lost some weight, but Still not. Still,
It doesn't drop off you like quick, you know.
well, I want it to. But anyways, and
You also have to eat less.
I have no idea why I'm not losing weight. Guinness. This is coffee Guinness, by the way. I'm starting to acquire a taste for it.
Oh, okay.
Walter told me I wouldn't like it.
No, I didn't. That
Yes,
was
you
Guinness. Guinness.
You did, yeah.
But
You
no,
told
I
me
don't know.
wouldn't like the coffee.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
It was one of our viewers that suggested it.
Yes. Well, it was actually it was
Elaine.
Elaine's husband, Ron, when we met up at the quilt show there a week or so ago. But anyways, I don't mind it. It's a little different. Now, I usually don't like the flavor of coffee in anything but as coffee, period. Like, I don't like mocha ice cream and desserts that have it in it. Although I like tiramisu, which has sort of coffee in it too. So I don't know. I guess it's hit and miss, whatever. But I don't mind that. It's an acquired taste. It grows on you like a fungus. So anyways, yeah, the walks. So I make a point of going out every morning at about a little before 7 o'clock, and there's the regulars are out there. There's one gentleman. He comes the opposite way from whatever way I'm walking, and that we always say hi to each other as we go by. Now if you go at about 6:45, there's two ladies that have these big dogs, and they seem to congregate on a corner and not move their stupid mutts. Well, I shouldn't say they're stupid mutts. They look like beautiful dogs. They're big doggies, though, and they kind of have the rope around their kind of muzzled in a way, but not wearing an actual muzzle. They've got part of the leash is kind of on their jaws. So I haven't walked up to the doggies and go, "Does your dog bite?" And if you've ever seen that your seller's Pink Panther thing, you know, "Does your dog bite?" And the guy says no. And he reaches down, pets the dog, and the dog bites him. He goes, "I thought you said your dog doesn't bite." He says, "That's not my dog." So, anyways, but yeah, and bunnies, lots of bunnies, little baby bunnies, big bunnies, medium-sized bunnies. They're all over the place out there. You see them all the time. Walter likes to walk more in the afternoon or even at night. He likes to look in people's windows. Just saying, it's a hobby. Yeah.
I haven't seen anything interesting in the windows.
Yeah. We have been very concerned, though, about this one house on one of the corners that the grass has gotten very high on, and it doesn't. There's a kind of a broken down car in the driveway, which is kind of incongruous with our neighborhood because our neighborhood is
Usually very well kept.
very well kept. So kind of a thing. And then you walked by one time and saw that there was something from the city of Oshawa on the door.
Yeah.
With it, and then shortly after that, the grass did get cut down.
Still looks kind of disheveled though.
So it looks like there might be somebody living in the basement of this house, like maybe they're renting that part of it, but the upstairs might
I don't
not.
know.
It's hard to say.
I did notice one night when I walked by after the notice was on the door that somebody took the notice off the next day after the door. Thing went.
And then it was the
And
day
then
after
and
that.
then
the
that day
grass-
after that, they started cutting the grass, and then they had sort of cut it more. I walked by and there were two cars in the driveway, and the garage door was open.
What was in the garage?
I didn't really look.
I'm surprised.
I was walking by.
You took a picture of the notice on the door, but you did it from so far away we couldn't pull it up
read
and
it.
read it. Yeah. See, you think I'm joking when I say he goes out at night and looks in people's windows. I'm not joking.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, you are. I've seen your little head when we're out there, rubbers around everywhere, and you have to see this and that. You notice stuff I never noticed. Well, that's because I'm not nosy and sticking my nose into private property. But, you know, you do. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting that. But I kind of enjoyed my walk in the morning. I have my iPod earbuds in, whatever, and I'm listening to my podcasts.
I listen to music.
Yeah, I can't because I start to walk the beat.
Yeah, that's why I listen to music.
Yeah, but then I skip. So, and apparently that's not very becoming to see a man that's almost 70 years old skipping down the street. People will think I'm on drugs. and not the regular ones. So
You are on drugs.
yeah, but they're not those kind of drugs. Oh, Mona says sounds like a gentle leader to help the dogs from pulling. Okay, could be. I don't know. Um, how they do that, what that's for. I want to pet them because they're so fluffy, but I also like to keep my arms.
You probably don't want to pet the German Shepherd that has a really big muzzle.
No, was that the one with the guy that does the home improvements all the time? You know, the guy that has the castle.
Castle.
Well, he puts the.
Oh no, not him. No.
Oh, because he's got a big.
That's the black dog. That's not a German Shepherd.
No, that's a
Rottweiler, right?
Yeah. That one, he does have muscle.
Yeah.
And when he sees you coming up the street, he moves right into the street from you. So, puppy might want a snack. And he's big. We'd be a 2-bite brownie for him. So, Faith says, if you went past our house right now, you would wonder about our grass. Our riding lawnmower is not working. We have tried several things. Have you put gas in it, hon? Have you turned it on? Have you reached underneath where the blade is and then tried turning it on to see? No, recommend that. Denise says, mention of bunnies made you smile. Good to see. I like bunnies. I think they're cute. They're just little cuties. And we have a neighborhood full of bunnies. Bunnies and squirrels and every other beast.
And then on the other side of the fence from us, we have turkeys.
Yes, the turkeys. We
did
have coyotes for a while. I
haven't heard them lately.
No. Come to think of it, we haven't heard the turkeys either. Correlation.
I haven't seen any foxes or skunkies. I haven't smelt any skunkies.
But it's hard to tell because it's either wheat or skunk, and they both smell the same. So yeah, welcome to Canada. And as says, might need a new battery. Oh, for the lawnmower, maybe. Anyways, yeah, the walks are there. I do feel better when I get out for a walk and come back in, and it's become now a habit. So yeah. Speaking of habits for good health, Walter went to the doctor. You never did tell me what the doctor told you.
No, everything was okay. My blood sugar was okay and stuff like that. It was a little higher than it was last time, but
so is your head going to explode?
That was because of us going to the Netherlands, and I wasn't eating as regimented as I was. But it's still within normal limits, so
good. Let's have pie. Yum. Yeah, so you're
and
good.
yeah,
and yeah, you know what?
It was, but of course she doesn't like my cholesterol levels. So.
She wants everybody to be under the magic number 2.
Even though the prescribed limits, like when you get your blood test back or whatever, everything you have green and red, right? Red's not good, and green is okay. So all my cholesterol levels are green, but she does say there's one number she wants under 2.
Yeah, it's all she wants all the time. What she wants, which drives me nuts. But anyway, another health professional. She's a nice enough person and everything like that, but I don't like doctors.
And she probably doesn't have any problems because she's like 90 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
She's skinny as a rake.
Like, yeah.
She looks anemic looking, actually.
Well, the reason I don't like doctors is because you go in for a routine checkup and they always find something. They're like a car service place. When you take your car in to get like an oil change, they always find something else that needs to be done. And
no, that's just because you're old. They're not making any money off you.
That isn't that. Besides,
it's not like a car dealer.
Look, when the very first time I ever went to her, my doctor that I'd had since I was about 21 decided to retire. So she took me on because of Walter, because Walter was going on spouse, which was nice of her to do. Because it's not easy to get a doctor these days in this country. We have a shortage of them. So she does the usual physical and everything, and she's listening to my heart, and she goes, I don't know for sure, but you might have a heart murmur. And I looked at her, and at that point I was, in my mid-50s, or something like that. You know, well, you're the first one that's ever told me that one with it. Well, just to be on the safe side, I'll set you up with an ultrasound. Went to the ultrasound, came back. Well, the results were not conclusive. So yeah, we'll just watch that, but it might be that you have a leaky valve. She wasn't giving up. She wasn't giving up. You know, she was determined she was going to find something wrong with me. Well, I'm still here. So, anyways, whatever. And as says, I always say going to the doctor is like going to a garage. Yep. So I go as little as possible. Well, you know, if it ain't broke, why fix it? I feel fine. So, you know, whatever. Okay, so. Oh, speaking though of, well, dying, one of our regulars that comes to our sew days, she had an unexpected tragedy. She was up here. She doesn't live here, but she was up here visiting some of her relatives. And she was intending to go to the Canadian Quilt Show. And somebody asked her on our sew day, so how'd you find the Canadian Quilt Show? She was home. She says, well, I didn't make it. I got some bad news. And we went, well, what? Well, I guess while she was away, her husband was on the golf course and dropped dead. So that was a bit of a shock. And so, yeah, what do you say to that to somebody? Like, we're really sorry for her loss, but holy crap, you know? So she came back to where she lives and had to deal with all of that and everything. So that was horrible. So, you know, just when you think life is bad, somebody else has got it worse, I guess. And Teresa says, I've seen too much of doctors lately. Had my shoulder replacement surgery 6 weeks ago. The thought of high blood pressure. A few appointments later, I'm on 2 BP meds, physio 3 times a day. Teresa, you should be dead. Than, I mean,
Yeah, I've been on blood pressure medication for years now.
this is beginning to sound more like a hobby, Teresa, than it is. Well, I hope you get everything fixed out, because what a pain in, well, more than a pain, but whatever. Doctor makes a lot of money on writing out prescriptions. Yeah, but I don't know.
Not in this country.
I'm not sure. Here in Canada, the way that it's done with our hospital or our medical stuff that's looked after by the government and things like that, I'm not sure. Well, some of our doctors go to the States because they can make more money. However, some doctors don't, because lawsuits in the States are left and right. And I guess the insurance they need to cover malpractice suits and everything like that is astronomically high. Here in Canada, I don't think you can sue a doctor.
I think you have to apply a complaint to the College of Physicians to be able to have any kind of legal action.
Yeah,
and they decide whether you can have it or not.
And you know what side they're going to be on. So I don't know. It's a mystery. The only way you'll know how much a doctor makes is if you're a doctor, because that's a real closely guarded secret. But I don't think they really make the money.
I think they might get some kickbacks, like for
like all the free drugs they can.
No, I know, like that. Was it? I don't know for sure, but the guy went to for my my urologist. He suggested I take cranberry supplement.
Oh, you have a yeast infection?
No, I had.
Jeez, you're quite the straight man. Yeah, your PP doctor.
Yeah, my PP doctor.
Your PP
when I had urinary tract infections.
Oh, yeah, okay. But oh well, I guess we need them. But yeah. So other things. Talked about the umbrella. Oh yeah, we're going to visit friends in Toronto, and I've already talked about this, in a couple of weeks' time. And they're taking us out to dinner. And they're taking us to a restaurant that's called Jacob's. It's a steakhouse. And we were looking at the menu online. Oh my God. You can get a steak there. We won't be having that. That's 520 Canadian It's a Kobe, you know, that kind of stuff. But in my mind, I can't believe there's any piece of meat in the world that I would ever willingly want to pay $520 for that. But, you know, then it makes it a little awkward when you're ordering on the menu, because I quite frankly, and Walter's probably the same, we don't like it if someone's paying for us, because it just, you feel, you know, obligated. And then we're going to have to be very sly and see what they order, and they'll probably say something like, the waiter will come over and they'll say, go ahead and order, and I'll say, oh, I haven't quite made up my mind yet. What do you usually have on this? Because, yeah, I mean, they have money, but they're not fabulous rich, and they're doing this because of some that we've done for them over a period of time. And I mean, we really appreciate the sentiment, but they don't have to take us to checkups. We could have gone to someplace a little less pricey. I haven't got a thing to wear. I don't know how to dress for this. Of course, they're not really flat fashion plates, so.
Tote, yes, we have medical insurance.
Yeah.
It's free. Well, sort of free. I have to pay, I think I pay $600 a year through my income tax. It's listed in my income tax.
Yeah, but paid our taxes.
But I mean, certain things are not covered. Like drugs aren't covered. Drugs are covered in the hospital, but they're not covered. They're not covered usually. So most people have
additional insurance,
an insurance plan with their employer for drugs. But unless we're over 65, we're on the provincial plan, which we can get drugs through the province. But I also have a supplementary plan if there happens to be a drug that plan doesn't cover. So
yeah, but even with these things that Walter's talking about, they're nowhere near what you pay in the States for health insurance. Yeah.
No, like, I mean, all that stuff that Teresa had done, I'm sure she didn't pay much of anything for that.
Jody's saying, how much is that in US dollars? Are you talking about medical insurance, or are you talking about steak? Because if you're talking about the steak, the one that's 520 in American dollars, that would be what, about 300 and something?
Yeah.
Which is still, you're going to pay $300 for a steak? I didn't think so. They had cheaper things on the menu, but I think the cheapest steak.
The cheapest steak was 70, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
So,
but that is awful, because if you go to the keg, it's 50.
Well, true.
So,
true. But in my old man mind, that's expensive. So I remember when you used to get a steak for $2.95 at Ponderosa.
How much did you say?
$5.20.
So that's $379, $380 in US dollars.
Teresa, what do you mean add 25%? Are you talking about the exchange rate? Not 25%, honey.
It's like 138.
It's like 38%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's still cheaper in American dollars, but.
Yeah, well, about the only thing with parking at the clinics are expensive.
Yeah. And Teresa says, all I had to pay for was the sling.
$150.
$150. You mean a Singapore sling? That's an expensive drink. We had an expensive Singapore sling once.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, our healthcare is, in terms of financial, is much better than the United States. Yeah. And I know that there's propaganda in the United States, the ones who are against universal health care, and say, oh, yeah, but Canadians pay all these taxes and everything, and it's up higher. Guess what?
Actually, I think Americans pay more.
You pay more taxes than we pay. Yeah. We've been doing some research into that. Yeah, so, no, there's a myth buster for you. Yeah, Joy says, I guess they trust you won't pick the most expensive meal. Maybe we'll surprise them. I want the 520. Thank you. And could you give me 2? I want to take one home. Yeah. I don't know. Makes me a little nervous. Maybe that's why they're serving some appetizers and some drinks when we first get there at their place. Fill us up on that, and then we won't just have a glass of water and a toothpick. Thank you. I don't know. It's really nice of them to do this. I'm taking them gifts. I mean, I don't like people paying for me for things. I never have, no matter where it is, you know. I mean, they're doing it out of kindness and the whole thing, and I get that, and it's very nice of them, but it makes me very uncomfortable. So, speaking of spending money, I did it. Let's just say that I bought myself an early birthday present. That's how I will justify it. Well, I don't really need to justify it because I want it. Yes, I bought another printer, 3D printer. I bought another Bamboo X1 Carbon C with the new AMS Pro 2, which is the thing that changes the colors, but they've redesigned it, made it more sophisticated. So yeah, and it came in 3 boxes, and it came over about a period of about 4 days. It came fast. The printer itself came the next day. I ordered it on Monday.
Yeah.
It arrived on Tuesday. But the AMS hadn't come with it. That's the thing that changes the colors. And I thought, well, shoot, when's this going to arrive? Well, it came 2 days later. But there was still one more box to come. And that box had a key component that you have to install on the AMS in order to make it work. And they were telling me it was coming from BC and it was not going to arrive until tomorrow. Well, it showed up on Saturday. So I've got it all working. I don't know if you can hear any of I've got both of the printers working right now on some stuff. But I'm very pleased with the second one.
Oh, yeah. Go back to steak, and the steak doesn't come with anything.
Oh, that's
you
right.
You have to get potato and vegetable separate.
Yeah, and they're not particularly inexpensive, although they may come in, you know, what do they call it, family style, you know,
Yeah.
For sharing at your table, that kind of thing. There's another restaurant in Canada, in the United States too, called Ruth Chris's, and that's how they do it as well.
There's the term. When you and Walter dated. We never dated.
Oh, we didn't date. No. Gay people don't date.
No.
Only the losers date. No. In fact, I'm not even going to tell you what really happens on how it all works out. But let's just say you might get dinner and a drink after instead of before. But
when we went out for dinner for years, even when we started living together, we would pay our own. We would split bill in half and pay our own.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we did not date.
But I mean, probably quite a few years now. We just throw it on it. Steve always pays. He throws it on a credit card.
Wow.
And it comes out of our joint account.
It comes out of our joint account. With that, it's easier. We pay for everything on credit cards. It's easier to keep track of stuff. We get points, and we never carry a balance. So yeah, that's how we manage our money. And here in Canada anymore, cash is almost non-existent for it. When you see somebody pull out cash, you go, what the hell is that? I mean, I've had the same $30 or $50 sitting in my wallet that's been out for the last 2 years. So, you know, open the wallet, moths come out. Teresa says, Stephen, you enabler, the quilt kit you bought, Stormy Seas, is beautiful. So it took a bit of searching, but I found one to come to my house. Yep. After I get done my sister's quilt, that's my next project, to get on with that. Yoidi says, I don't like friends paying for me either, depending on the circumstances, of course. Yeah, I just feel very awkward about it. Oh, they do. We have Ruth Chris here too. It's really good there.
Yeah, well, Ruth Chris is an American.
Oh, is
company,
it? Oh, okay.
And they're actually all over the world.
Oh.
Because remember we stayed in Singapore? There was a Ruth Chris.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
In our hotel.
I mean, I've never eaten in one.
No, we don't have one in our city.
No.
And I'm not going to Toronto for a steak
But
dinner.
your older sister.
Yeah, she thought it was great.
thought it was wonderful. She's dead now. But anyways. Kim's here. Hi, Kim. So just some interest changing the topic right now. Now, this is something I was going to throw up on the screen, but since I can't, I was looking at the stats for my YouTube channel and saw some interesting things. 28% of people who watch it are not subscribed to the channel. Walter says I have to start saying, and remember to like and subscribe to my channel for that. And only 19% of my subscribers are Canadians. I'm playing to, well, you want to know something? I don't think Canadians, well, I don't know. Why is it? Do Canadians not watch as much YouTube as
We've
Americans?
got quite a few Canadians on here.
Well, yeah, but only 19%.
Yeah, well, there's not many Canadians. There's what is it? There's a lot more Americans than there are Canadians.
According to the stats as well, I don't have any men subscribers. They're all women from the ages of 55 to 65 and older. But I do have men. So I don't know. YouTube is weird how they do things. You know,
I mean, there's only like 40 million Canadians, and there's like
yeah, I know.
400 million.
Okay, so you're doing a ratio, whatever, out of it. But probably the Canadians don't subscribe as much. They're probably watching, but they probably think if it's going to cost them anything, they don't do it because we're cheap. Canadians are cheap. Yeah. But anyways, I just thought that was an interesting stats on there. I don't usually look at the stats, but today for some reason I decided I did. So our main topic, speaking of YouTube and other things, is about advertising overload. And this is becoming very evident. I mean, it's always been there, right? I mean, advertising makes the business world go round. And we've known that since time immemorial. You know, when we used to watch regular TV before the days of streaming and computer technology, we always had, you know, the commercial on TV, and that was your, you know, your pee break. And then it used to be those commercials were only about a minute long. Then they got out to a minute and 15 seconds, then a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And in some cases, slightly longer than that. And that's on regular TV. So no wonder people went to streaming, because when Netflix hit the market and some of the other ones, well, we didn't have any advertising. In fact, that was the beauty of getting streaming. No advertising. So we were paying not to have advertisements. Well, those days are over, aren't they? Have you checked out Amazon? If you have Amazon Prime, you have Amazon, you know, Video. I love it. You go sit down to watch a movie on Prime, and it comes up, and it says, this program will not be interrupted for commercials. So we'll do it right now at the beginning. And kind of like a 2-minute commercial or more. But they lie. Because you'll be sitting there enjoying the movie, and suddenly, bang, just like it was a TV, you'll get another. It might be a little shorter than their initial one, but you still get an ad in there. And depending, I've noticed lately, there's been more of them too. At first on Prime, there weren't any. Then they started to have them at just the beginning of the program and nothing more. The beginning and further on in, and you might get one in the middle, and then that was it. No, now you seem to get them more frequently on whatever you're watching. So, what about YouTube? Okay, well, we all know about ads on YouTube. But, and I've talked about this before, have you noticed that you may get 2 ads right in a row? One of them you'll have to sit through. The second one you may get a chance to skip it. When they first started putting those ads in through, you could skip them all within about 5 seconds. Not anymore, and they're getting longer. There are ads on YouTube that are a program unto themselves. They're 3, 4, 5, 10. I've seen them as long as 20 minutes on there. Now, those ones you can, after a certain amount of time, you can skip by, but there's more and more of them. In fact, if you look up at the top of the screen, sometimes you'll get, because this is a longer video, there'll be less frequent advertising. What's their definition of frequent? Doesn't seem to make any difference to what I've been watching. They're still there, lots of them. So, and then YouTube had put something out to content creators. I didn't understand what they were doing. making it sound like it was a benefit to YouTube content creators. It sounded like there was going to be more ads, but you could control them more or something. And there were some things I had to click on. I didn't click on any of them because I don't believe them. And it was very obtuse the way they were talking about it. It's very convoluted. I don't know what they were talking about, what they meant. But I know one thing. It isn't to the benefit of an audience, of viewers, and it's not to the benefit of content creators. It's only to the benefit of YouTube themselves. So, yeah. But this got me thinking about other things. I already talked about streaming TV. But social media, I don't know if you're on Facebook still. I'm on Facebook. I don't use it because you see one post, 3 ads. One post, 3 ads. It's just constant stream of this kind of thing on there. It drives me mental. And everybody under the sun is selling you something. And they're sneaky about how they do it. They have little clips that entice you. You know, and at first you look at it and you think, oh, they don't even tell you they're selling you something. You think it is like a post or something. And they kind of pull you in, and then suddenly click here if you want to see more or whatever.
And on top of that, YouTube creators are putting ads inside their content.
I was going to get to that. That's the other thing. There are more and more YouTube creators that are getting on the bandwagon and they're selling stuff. And I have a real problem with this. Okay? And here's why. If you are operating a business as a individual on YouTube and you're trying to make this your sole source of income, you're an idiot. The only people that make money on YouTube are people that have millions, plural, millions of subscribers. And they're people like Mr. Beast, if you know who that is. He's like, I think he is the top earner on YouTube. And they make so much money on YouTube. Plus they have other things. They're affiliates. They sell other people's products. I get emails every week. I get at least 1, if not 2, every other day wanting to partner with me to sell some product. And I block them, but I still get them. I'm constantly bombarded by them. And many of them are probably scams to start too. But yeah. But you get these people who are content creators and they're buying into all of this. You have some who are trying to suck people in to do things like go on quilting cruises. Do you know a quilting cruise will cost you double
what the regular cruise will cost?
Yeah, we looked into it. Not only that, but they don't go to really exotic locations in many cases, like they do the Caribbean. Wow. You know, a 7-day cruise to the Caribbean at what the price they're charging? No. And what they're not telling you either is that if you've never been on a cruise before, there are all kinds of extras you need to pay for.
Or optional things.
Yeah, optional things. Like if you want water, that's not free.
If you want bottled water.
If you want bottled water, yeah. If you want to drink the stuff that's out of your toilet on a cruise ship.
Or if you want to drink pop, it's extra. You drink sparkling water, it's extra.
Yeah.
It's, of course, extra if you want
booze,
liquor, or anything like that.
Restaurants are not free, like the main dining room and that are, and the buffets. But if you want to go to what they call their specialty ones, that's going to cost you.
Yeah.
For that.
And it's quite a lot for, I think, if it's not like it's you're already getting food, and especially restaurants are charging more than what you would necessarily pay in going to that restaurant on land type of thing.
But there's more and more content creators who are feeding on, well, the quilting community. This is where they're really springing up from out of this. Now, okay, some of you would argue with me, and that's fine. Maybe you've been on one of those cruises and you absolutely loved it. But here's what I'm thinking in my mind. At what the prices that they're charging, why would I want to go on a cruise to quilt? I want to go and see things. And yes, they usually only do the quilting on days at sea, but there's a ton of things to do on a cruise ship. We've been on 11 cruises, so we're not talking off the top of our head about this kind of. No, we've never been on a quilting cruise, never will, for all the reasons I've already stated.
Plus, they usually go places we don't want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, like I have no desire to go to Haiti. Like no. Or that kind of thing. So,
And we don't want to go to Alaska, so.
oh, we're not interested in Alaska. Everybody wants to go to Alaska. It's so beautiful. For 5 minutes. Okay? It's for 5 minutes. Okay? And then after that, oh God, it's
Another iceberg.
Another iceberg. Isn't that nice? Like kind of a thing. So, yeah. I mean, if that's what floats your boat, if you enjoy it, then you do it. You do you. But I'm just saying. But these ones that are hawking them on there. And, see, there are companies that are getting, the content creators that are sort of celebrity-like. Because what they're doing is, those people are pulling in their audience to go, which means more money for whoever is sponsoring the particular cruise, because it's not necessarily the cruise company. It's sometimes a third-party travel company that specializes in these
like
types
the
of
ones
cruises.
that do bus tours, and they'll do cruises, and it's another company that's putting it behind. And a lot of times the content creator that's being used as a celebrity is getting that trip for free.
For free, yeah. Like Karen Brown is a good example of that. Although the ones that she's been on sound a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Like they're doing the Scandinavian one. We've done a Scandinavian cruise before, and she did one to the Netherlands. And
that was more of a bus tour, I think.
Oh, that was
then
more, yeah.
they went around and visited a lot of fabric places and that.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So those ones sound a little bit more interesting because you're out and doing things. And then one of the ones that's being advertised right now, this Stitch in Heaven place, that cruise is something like, in American dollars, depending on what you get for accommodation, they have two choices.
It's $2,000 for a balcony room. If you went on the cruise regular, it's $1,000. That's American dollars.
Plus, they put in fine print, there's also taxes, gratuity, all that kind of stuff, which is another $450. So that brings your total now up to $2,450.
Yeah, I think that includes port charges too.
Yeah, so. In there. Then, and taxes. Then, what they're not telling you is...
And that $2,000, you have to share a room with somebody.
Yeah, that's double occupancy. If you want a single one, you have to pay extra money for that. And that's usually not just a couple of $100. That's usually a lot more money than that for it. Then there's all the other extras that they're not telling you about, because depending on what you want, if you want to go on some of the excursions that the cruise might have, those are always fairly expensive. So by the time you're done, your little $2,000 room on the cruise ship is going to cost you about $3,000 minimum. Then they're running 2 projects. You can bring your own fabric. Oops, there go the balloons. Happy birthday. You can bring your own fabric and work on whatever you want to work on, or they're going to send out a material list closer to the date so you know what to bring to work on these 2 projects. But you can get kits to do it that have all the fabric all ready and everything. Those 2 kits, if you did both classes, work out on this particular one to about $350 more for that. So the point becomes, what am I getting for this kind of money? They supply the sewing machines, so it ain't that nice. But yeah, this sort of sounds like almost a scam. I mean, I suppose if you've never been on a cruise before and you think this is something you're going to enjoy, then, and you got the money, go for it. But I don't know.
I'd rather just go on vacation somewhere.
Yeah, really, for it. You go to a retreat, land-based, for a lot less.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of local places that have retreats and stuff that that aren't that pricey. So
yeah. So back here it says, where do you go? Okay, so there's some stuff going on here. See, I got to back up. This all came up here. Oh, Teresa's reminding everybody to hit the buttons. Thanks, Teresa. And that says I'm subscribed and like. Okay, thanks. And Yoedi says the drug reps sent to invite us to meetings at Ruth Chris. That was great.
okay, yeah, maybe in the U.S. that's more because you don't. I don't think in the U.S. have as much generic drugs as we have. We have a lot of our stuff as generic drugs, so it's cheaper.
Yeah. Nicole's here. Hi, Nicole. I'm French Canadian from Quebec and love your channel. Oh, thank you, Nicole. Candace says I'm younger than that. Thank you very much. Yeah, Candace, you're just a babe in arms. Faith says, okay, I suggest you do a So Chatty on dating. No,
No, I don't think so.
no, there are certain things that as gay men, we're not going to discuss with the breeders. Okay, we have to have a little mystery about us. If your name is generic, they may be just assuming you're female or male, i.e. Pat can be male or female for the stats. So how accurate do you think stats are? Oh, I don't think the stats are very accurate.
No, I would think that if somebody signed up onto YouTube, did they have to put in that they're male or female? I don't know.
I don't remember when I first, it's been so long ago that I first got involved with YouTube. I don't remember if I had
like,
to
I mean,
that.
I don't know how they're figuring out who's male and who's female.
I don't know how maybe the algorithm can read minds. What about non-binary people? Trans? I don't know. Barb says even when you go to movie theater, they're advertised before the movie starts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, tons of those. And you're paying a lot of money to go to a show anymore.
Yeah.
Russ says it's almost like streaming companies have learned they can't survive on subscription alone, and ad revenue is important. Well, yeah, sure, they're businesses, and this is how they make their money. We know that, but there's making a reasonable profit, and then there's gouging, and this is just gouging. That's all it is. Dubrovka says, "Can you tell from the list of people watching who subscribe?" Okay, this is interesting, Dubrovka, that you
right now on this way on the lives you have to subscribe.
Yeah, everybody that's on here subscribe because you can't. It's set up so that on my lives, the only way that you can get into the chat mode here is you have to be subscribed.
And that's because to keep out.
That's to keep out the undesirables.
Undesirables, yeah.
You know, the people who want to come in and do nasty things. But it's funny you bring this up about the subscription list. On YouTube, you know how many subscribers you have, but you really can't see who those people are. But on my phone, on my YouTube app on my phone, I just saw it for the first time today. On my main page of my channel, I could click on something and see I had all the list of subscribers' names. Now, I've got over 19,000, almost 20,000 subscribers now. Thank you very much for that. And it doesn't list 20,000 names or 19,000 names on there. It's got a cutoff point, but I can't see that on my computer. So I don't know if I'm missing something, it's hidden somewhere else, or what. So yeah, YouTube is constantly changing their algorithms, and now they're using AI, and who knows where it's going to go from there. Most Facebook ads are scams now. Oh yeah. And Joy says stop hitting like on Facebook because you get it with ads pertaining to that like. Yes, you do. I seldom go on Facebook. And if I do go on Facebook, I just scroll through because I'm waiting to get my hair cut or I'm in a waiting room for something or other. And I don't post on Facebook anymore. I stopped doing that quite a long time ago. Mary says she boycotts those content creators. And sadly, though, there's more of them.
More of them.
Yeah.
So it's hard sometimes to, if you want to listen to something that's pertained in that video or whatever the content creator has, then you might put up with it. I do something.
Yeah, sometimes I fast forward through it with the ones that do the ads live during their thing. You know, Karen Brown's a very good example of it. She's always flaunting a bed in a box. So, you know, and ironically, the bed in the box she's flaunting, and she's Canadian, is a US product, and you can't get free delivery in Canada for it. You know, like, really? Well, maybe she's figured out probably most of her viewers are American too, so I don't know. Jeannie Moosley, I don't know if I said that right, is here. Hello, Jeannie. And Joey says, I actually watch some cooking channels from other countries that have 1 to 2 million subscribers. I can't imagine what they get paid monthly. Yeah, they make big bucks. Because when you've got that many, it's volume. Because you only get, as a content creator, you literally only get penny per ad. And
actually, I think it's more like fractions of pennies.
Yeah, it probably is. And plus, I still don't know for sure on the algorithm, but you might have to watch the whole ad through. But if you skip it, the content creator doesn't get anything. You've heard me say before, I'm upfront about it. I average about $200 a month. After they take 30%, Google takes 30% tax from me as well. And I have no say over that. And I'm not an American citizen, but they're an American company, and so I pay American tax. I probably paid for that pothole out front of your place that got filled in last week, okay? That was for me. You're welcome. Yeah. So, but ones that have, 900,000 to umpteen million subscribers, yeah, they're pulling in money from those. Heather says there are cross-stitch cruises as well. Okay, that's even more sad. Because what do you got? Do they put out the rocking chairs and everybody's sitting in it and doing their little cross-stitch? I wonder my sister would like
They
to go
have
on
all kinds of cruises for all kinds of things. There's
Yeah.
religious cruises. There's gay cruises. There's cruises for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Well, Yoidi says Arnie and Carlos do knitting cruises in Norway. I'd like to do that. Why? Here's my question to you, Yoidi. Why? Is it because you love knitting a lot and you want to go on a cruise so you can knit? Or is it because you really like Arnie and Carlos a lot and you want to meet them? Either way, I'll bet you the same cruise that they're going to be on is a lot less expensive if you just did the cruise and not signed up with them. Also, you want to know something? These people that go on these cruises, like Arn and Carlos and that, you're not going to be spending a lot of time with them. A lot of people go, they're starstruck, and they think they're going to be dining and working with them and touring with them and drinking with them and sleeping with them all through the cruise. You're not. They're going to disappear. They're going to meet and greet you, and they're going to pop into the classes. They might be teaching a class as well. They're going to disappear as well. You may see them and go, hi, and they're going to be friendly and go, hi, I don't know who the hell you are, is what they're saying in the back of their mind, kind of thing, but they'll have a smile on their face. Is that worth the money to pay for it? We've been on a Scandinavian cruise. I highly recommend them. It is gorgeous. Norway, Finland, Sweden, the whole bit. Yeah. But you don't need to do it with a couple of old guys who make Christmas balls out of wool. Just saying. I used to watch them, and I'm not a knitter. I don't watch them anymore. I got bored. But, yeah. Pace says, I could stay home and quilt in my own house and save a whole lot of money. She could. Yuri says, I agree, Pace, but I would love to do a retreat. See peeps all have fun. Retreats are different than a cruise, okay? Retreats, you're with a whole bunch of people. You all share a common interest. There may be some celebrity people there teaching classes. That's all good and dandy. And that's probably worth the money, because that's going to be a lot cheaper. Yeah, sure, maybe you're not eating cruise food, but cruise food, there's a lot of myths about cruise food. It's good. and there's lots of it. So if you like eating quantities, cruise has it for you. Whereas a land-based retreat, that could vary. You know, probably not a 24/7 buffet while you're doing it. But but I would think that's money better spent in most cases for that kind of thing than on a cruise. I don't know. Feel free to disagree with me. It's okay. You can write any comments you want about it. I'll ignore them. But you can write whatever you want about that. Yeah. You do you. I do me.
Yeah, some people like to sew in an in-person retreat because then they get a chance to talk and share ideas with other people.
Yeah.
But you can do that also when you do one of Steve's Zooms or something like
Yeah.
that. People talk and enable each other as well. So.
Yeah. And of course, the destination of the retreat might be something that pulls you in.
Yeah.
But you're going to pay for that. And Joy says, I think you have to pay a fee for the sewing machine.
I don't know.
I don't know. That is something I have never heard anybody say. So I don't know if you do or not.
That may be included with your
I think
cruise
it's
price.
I would say they'd probably bury that in the
Yeah.
price. But yeah. Pace says, I get the people connection, but it's still pretty expensive. Yeah, true. No, you don't chat too much, Yoidi. It keeps things going here. Even the lurkers have to be subscribed. Yes. Yeah, they can. No.
Well,
They can watch this.
They
just can't enter the chat if they're not subscribed.
And they can watch rerun.
Yeah, they can see it.
But then they can't.
No. Oh, thank you, Donna. Caroline says, I think quilting cruises are a ripoff. I agree with you, Caroline, 100%. You meet lots of people on a cruise anyways. People like to chat at dinner and at the theater shows, etc. Yeah, very true. Jody says, I just want to go to Norway. Take a regular cruise then. Save the money and go. Enjoy. It is. It's great.
It is. It's nice.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind going on another one someday, but I don't know right now.
Go in the summer, though.
Yeah, go in the summer.
I don't think they run many.
Yeah. Mary says that exactly right. These contact creators are movie stars to certain people. Yeah, and that mystifies me.
Even
Why?
us, we'll be walking around somewhere, and people want to be with us for some reason or another.
Yeah, and I don't know why
I
they
don't
would
really
want to.
understand. We're regular people.
Yeah.
We just have a YouTube channel.
We've had people come up to us, they want to take a selfie with us and the whole bit. Well, yeah, it's flattering to us when people do that, but I just don't. We're not celebrities. We're just people on YouTube because anybody can be on YouTube. You got a camera, you got a computer, you can be on YouTube. You don't even need a computer. You can do it all from your phone for that matter. Yoidi says, oh, okay, keeps the trolls. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you get somebody on there and some Russian guy pops up and starts talking sex and stuff like that. We don't want that.
No, we don't want that kind of thing. If we're going to talk about sex, we'll do it as part of the program. Yeah. So other things, like, of course, we all get the ads through email. But lately, like legitimate companies that I deal with, like I want to use the example of the embroidery companies I buy embroidery files from. Designs by Juju, Sweet Pea, and OESD. Those are my three biggies that I go to all the time. I get 3 to 4 advertisements telling me what's on sale. They're all the same ad from each of them every day, to the point where I reached out to one of them and said, look, I got it the first time. I don't mind getting an email once a day about what your sales are, because you always seem to have a sale every day on stuff. But I don't need 3 or 4 of them of the same thing every day. And they went, oh, yeah, well, we'll pass that on to our customer service department. Yeah, it just got put in they delete with it. But it makes you annoyed to the point where you don't want to buy from them anymore. And these companies don't get it. Missouri Star Quilt was another one that was bad. I stopped. I got rid of those ones. I unsubscribed from them in their emailing list, and that took a little doing to do as well, because I was getting 3, 4, 5 emails a day from Missouri Star Quilt. Just come on, they're don't need that many. I know you're there. Have a giveaway and everyone subscribes. You don't think that hasn't happened? The very first time I announced that there was going to be a giveaway, suddenly there were people I had never seen in the chat. Yeah. So, yeah, people love freebies. Baz Jones says, going on a cruise filled me with horror. Here in the UK, people who go on cruises are not who I want to spend my time with. Norway is wonderful. I think that's more true now than when we were doing cruises. We haven't been on a cruise for a number of years now, but I think the cruising industry has changed a lot in many ways. And you hear, at least on YouTube, now you always have to remember, people will put up the sensational stories to bring in viewers, right? Subscribers and stuff. But you hear all kinds of horror stories, or people who are fall down drunk and being obnoxious, and you know, people have caught them on video. And don't we all love to watch those type of videos? Because, you know, we're like, when you pass an accident, you rubberneckers, right? It's the same on YouTube for these things as well. So other things besides email, telephone calls are happening again. There seemed to be a lull in those for a bit. At least I wasn't getting them, but I'm getting them now more on a regular basis again, where, you know, the scammers, but also getting advertisements from legit people, like our service providers for things like our telephone, our energy, stuff like that. And then there's door-to-door seem to have increased, at least in our area. And they're aggressive. And they're young people. I think they're probably university college students, and these are jobs they're getting for the summer because they can't get anything else. And I feel sorry for them, because I'm sure they've had a lot of doors slammed in their face. I started out by being polite. The young guy came to the door the other day. He's standing there at the door. And hi. He goes, "Hi, how are you today, sir?" Oh, yeah, here we go. Now, sometimes in my mood, I'll turn around and I'll say, "And what are you trying to sell me?" And the answer will probably be no. "Oh, I'm not selling anything. Have you heard of Save the Artichokes? Or, you know, send your dollars to the sewer to help clean them up. All these different causes, charities, you know, a lot of them I haven't really
unknown charities.
Unknown charities, this kind of stuff." Then I say, "Oh no," I'll say to them very politely, "My charity dollars are already earmarked for the year, so I'm not giving anything to any other charities that I don't already support. Thank you very much." "No." They go, "Well, no, do you know about our organization?" And they just keep talking. And I go,
Or they start questioning you about who you donate
"Oh,
to.
yeah." The latest guy turned around and says, "Well, who do you give to?" And I looked at him and says, "That's private information, and I'm not going to divulge it. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Drop dead." Boom. You know, like, no. Screw off. Like, we need a law in this country that says you can't do door to door.
Remember the aggressive real estate agent that I had this week?
Yeah.
That she was trying, it was almost like she was trying to get into the house. And she's standing there and saying, "Oh, when you're selling your house, I want to represent you." And I said, "Well, we're not selling the house."
No, and she was very persistent.
And then she goes, "Well, when are you going to be selling the house?" And I said,
"When you're dead." That's what you should have said.
That's what I should have said, yeah. I said, "Not for a long time."
You should have said, "When you're dead, and if you keep this up, that could be
when you're
very
selling
shortly."
your house, can I represent you? I said, "No."
Like, not.
I'll want to pick and choose who I want to represent. Go away. And no, I don't. She wanted my phone number so that she can call me and bother me. I
Now,
said, "No."
this is going to sound racist. She was a brown, and I do find the ones that come
I
to the
don't know
door.
what she was. I think she might have been Spanish or something. She wasn't really
Well, I don't know.
Irish.
She was a darker shade of pale.
She
but-
had a Spanishy type accent.
And they seem to be a little bit more aggressive, but that's not to say we can't whitewash everybody with that. I know, but they don't take no for an answer. I had a couple come to the door a month or so ago, and yeah, we just listed your neighbor's house down the street for sale, and you know, we're looking. This is a nice neighborhood. Oh yeah, and they flatter you. "Well, your house is so nice at the front and everything like that." and they tried to get rate. I think they're really good friends. And I said, no, I'm not interested in selling. Well, you know, and I said, well, actually, I just turn around and I say to them, actually, I'm glad you're here because, yes, I am interested in selling. I want $2 million for this property. If you can guarantee that I can get that, I will list with you today. And then they kind of laugh. Well, and I said, serious. Oh, bye-bye. Go away. So, you know, he says, don't feel sorry for those solicitors. They're right. They don't take no thank you for an answer. Or your roof is falling off. Your windows are crooked. Can I use your bathroom? Yes, it has. Yeah, no. I don't let anybody in my house. No, I'm sorry. There's a field over there. Go tinkle. But I'm a woman. You tinkle. I'm not interested in how it works. Just do it. Yeah, well, that's what's good about a Ring camera. You know, we have one of those. Because you can see who's at the door, and it's like, okay, they're selling something. Just don't bother to answer it.
Yeah, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, we don't do it regularly enough, but we may be. It's getting worse and worse. But anyways, it just got, oh, and one last thing. Quilt stores are running the most ridiculous sales I have ever seen. Now, we know that the industry has suffered a lot during COVID, and a lot of people are buying more and more online for that. So with mom and pop quilt stores, you know, I try to support them when I can, but there's a quilt store in our area that's having a sale this weekend for Canada Day. It's called the Red and White Sale, and it's a bit confusing. All red and white fabric is on for 25% off. Now, does that mean it has to be a solid red or a solid white? Does it mean it has to be half and half? Does it mean if you get a speck of red in one of the fabrics, you're going to get 25% off? Really not clear.
So if it's red and white together, does it mean the pink ones are okay?
Yeah, just stupid. But there's other ones too. Oh, end of the bolt sale. Buy what's left on the bolt and get 30% off. Usually what's left on the bolt is either, if it's a fabric you like, there's way too much of it, so, you know, you might as well buy a bolt. Or there's like half a meter, or worse, 0.6 or 0.3 of a meter or something. Well, you're buying a remnant. Now, maybe you have a use for a piece that size, and so it's a good deal for you. But, or select 25% off on select fabrics, which means is code for on the ugliest stuff we've had in the store forever. We just blew the dust off it because we haven't been able to sell it. So, yeah. Luckily, our local quilt store doesn't really usually have a sale because
it's everyday low price.
Every day, yeah, but they really are. They really are. Like $16 a meter for fabric here in Canada.
Which is good.
That is very good. That is very good.
Because we have purchased machines from that store,
we get
give us another 10%.
10% off whatever we buy. So yeah. So yeah, this is getting ridiculous anymore, and it's just turning me off. You know, it makes you want to go out, buy a cabin in the deepest, darkest part of a woods, and be off the grid. You know, read a book, kind of a thing. Except I have to be on the grid because I read with an electronic reader. But anyways, such is technology. Well, anyways, that's our time. We're a little longer than usual. We're getting that way these days. Getting really long.
You like to talk.
Oh, screw off. Yeah, well, you could pipe in. The only time you talk is when you're criticizing me.
Well, I can't get a word in edgewise.
Oh, bullshit. Cry me a river. Yeah, right. Okay, everybody. If you're Canadian, enjoy the long weekend. If you're having a long weekend with it, in Canada Day on Tuesday. And, you know, eat a beaver, save a tree. That's what we say on Canada Day in Canada. Think about it. And we'll see everybody next time. Tune into whatever I put out next week. Okay. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.